Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Swim Lessons with Dallas Hanson. On today's episode, we have a special one. It's with Tommy Mellott. Tommy is the starting quarterback for the Montana State Bobcats, which is located in Bozeman, Montana. And the Bobcats are a big thing in the state of Montana. It's the Bobcats and the Grizzlies. And if you're unfamiliar of that rivalry, do yourself a favor and type it up on YouTube or something, because it's a special one. And Tommy has had a lot of success on and off the field, whether he was starting for the national championship game at quarterback or helping out local kids in his hometown of Butte, Montana. Tommy is a special student athlete, and I really enjoyed getting to know him through this interview. But before we get to Tommy, we have a few people to thank for sponsorships. As always, the Booster Club for the Billings West High School, the Bozeman High High School Booster Club, and also all the AA coaches in Montana. If it were not for all of them, none of these would have happened. Now, to get to our regular sponsors, we got to talk a little bit about Up Top, the clothing company. Up Top grew up from the ground up, and that's why roots are so important to the team at Up Top. Up Top was formed in Butte, Montana, from its founders of Luke and Colt Anderson. Up Top continues to be designed in Montana with Butte's tough as nails mantra, which is a very true thing. I've seen it firsthand. With apparel for both men and women, check them out on social media at UpTop, that's UPTOP, or just online at teamuptop.com. That's teamuptop.com. And the hat I'm wearing is Up Top, and all the clothes that Tommy Mellott was wearing during the podcast, if you were watching on YouTube, it's all Up Top. So Up Top's like the best up and coming thing. It's already a big thing, but it's starting to come over here to North Dakota. It's big in Montana, and I'm excited to see where they go. Our next sponsor is Tegan's Interior. Tegan's Interior is located on Main Street, Crosby, North Dakota. Tegan's offers all types of products for shades, blinds, flooring, and lighting. Anything you need when remodeling your home or building that dream home. Reach out to Tyler and Nikita Swanson at Tegan's Interior. That's TEAGANS Interiors.com. Or just give them a call the old-fashioned way, 701-965-6367. I was just in their showroom yesterday, and they've got some phenomenal products, so go check them out. Next is ProSafe. ProSafe is a locally owned and operated company since 2000 out of Williston, North Dakota, right in the heart of the Bakken. It's a name you can rely on. They offer expert pest control, ground sterilization, as well as red rock for oil field production. Give ProSafe a call at 701-774-3167 or check them out at www.prosafe.com. That's PROSAFE.com. Love ProSafe. Next is Henny's Coffee, the best coffee in North Dakota, hands down. I'm sorry, everybody else, but I got a soft spot for Henny's Coffee. Henny's Coffee, which is located in beautiful downtown Crosby, North Dakota, right on Main Street. They not only offer coffee and espressos, but they also offer Zingers, which is a flavored drink with Red Bull in it. Along with all types of baked goods, which I've been hitting those hard lately. And the main reason I like Henny's is because it's an all-time vibes place, meaning you can go there, whether you're with your mom and dad, best friend, whoever, just sit down, have a cup of coffee, and practice the lost art of a conversation. Find out what Henny's is all about by finding them on Facebook at Henny's, HENNYS, Coffee, or just give them a ring at 701-965-2182. Well, that wraps it up for our sponsors. I'm really happy this podcast with Tommy Mellott was able to happen, and he's a great kid. I look forward to seeing what happens to him in the future with success-wise. And without further ado, I give you the great and powerful Tommy Mellott.
Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Tommy, thanks for coming in today. I really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, Dallas. Appreciate you.
Does it feel good to be back at your alma mater?
It feels good to be back in Butte High School, seeing Coach Gray. Certainly not under these circumstances, but we'll take it for sure. It's nice to go home, enjoy some time, and that's what the situation kind of presented, so it's nice now.
So what exactly happened for everybody listening? Like, what are you dealing with right now injury-wise?
Oh, shoot, I don't know if I want to put that out there,
that's
but
okay.
it's non-surgical. I know Coach Vegans brought that up, and just starting some PT now, working on trying to take care of that stuff, and kind of just a 6 to 8 week timeline of hopefully by then I can start doing a little bit more than what I can now.
How important, just listening to you and Coach Gray now talking before we jumped on about X's and O's, and you guys have a great relationship. What was that like for you in high school, and how important was it to have a coach like Coach Gray in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think of him as my a second father. Really, he basically helped raise me from the time I was in 7th grade all the way up to the end of my senior year, and he continues to be that mentor to me. And just the way he just helped me through ups and downs, that are completely independent of football. It was pretty special, and so that relationship is something that I'm forever grateful for. And he's always said it, and I believe the same thing. Is just we're kind of stuck with each other now. It's a pretty deep relationship that I couldn't see that changing anytime soon. So without it, independent of football, independent of sports, the guys meant the world to me. And then obviously on top, with the sports world. It pushed me hard, taught me a lot of things about football and about life through that are all, super special. And I continue to refine, to this day and continue to take some of those pieces and implement them into how I'm, going about through college too.
Yeah, a lot of preparation, I'm sure, and he probably helped out with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he was X's and O's he was great with. And then the mental side was pretty special as well. Just that emotional mental side. And I think that's gone a long ways for me as well.
Yeah. Talking a little bit about, I talked to Taco last night, your teammate, your wide receiver, punt returner, and we just got into this conversation about AA football in Montana. Obviously, you know a lot about that. What does AA football in Montana personally mean to Tommy, who's found all the success at Montana State being a quarterback? But what's it mean to you, high school wise, AA?
Yeah, I mean, it was growing up. It was going to Butte High games. That was my world.
Yeah.
So, every Friday night, as soon as school got out, whether I was in elementary school or middle school, I was just waiting for that 7:00 kickoff, because that was a Super Bowl. I mean, every single weekend it was. I mean, obviously we got the privilege of being at Naranche Stadium, where it was a pretty special environment.
Yeah.
And I got to grow up in a couple great years where the guys were competing for state championships, and I'd have to imagine that it's not typical for maybe a elementary kid to be like, my dream is to play in front of the fans at Naranche and win a state championship. And that's kind of like the peak of it, at that point. Most time people are thinking like, oh, I want to go be in the NFL and I want to go be like Patrick Mahomes, or, I want to go play for, Alabama, and I want to go win like a national championship there or something like that, but none of that ever really kind of went through my mind as a dream. It was always to go play for Butte High and to, get a chance to be out there on those Friday nights in front of those fans and hopefully one day win a state championship. So it's kind of funny how I felt like that was my dream always. And so, I mean, I think it just speaks volumes to what AA football meant to me, and specifically Butte High.
Well, your guys' stadium is phenomenal. I mean, this is when I was driving in. It's like, so I came from Bozeman, obviously, it was in Billings, and you come like over that pass and you come into Butte, and then it's like, boom, you guys are like in the middle of the town, and it's it's a sick place. No,
I know. It's, and I didn't really realize that obviously until I started seeing other facilities around the state. But just, uptown, obviously that's kind of an odd phrase in and of itself. Most places are like, oh, we got to go downtown, but it's in Butte, it's that we have uptown and then we just have the town. Like there's no downtown. So it's an uptown Butte, and it's just nested, right into the history of, uptown Butte. And so it obviously been renovated. I think it did. We got the turf when my freshman year was the first time we had, first season we had the turf when I was in high school. And then I think it got renovated maybe 2011. So, I mean, certainly it's been there for a little bit now, but it's a beautiful stadium. Fans are amazing. The energy is amazing, and like it's bar none. I've played in a national championship game in the FCS. I've played all these games at MSU, and maybe it's just because in reference at that time, it just felt so much louder. But the state championship game we did have against Bozeman back in 2019, that's still, at least how I perceived it at the time and how I've ever perceived any game since. It's the loudest environment I've ever been a part of.
Really?
I don't know if it's just how the stadium was built with, the school, the brick, school right next to it, just reflecting, and the buildings just kind of surrounding it, just holding the sound in. I don't know what it is, but it was, I just remember a few plays in the first half that when we were on offense and our sideline was, considerably quiet, it was still like I couldn't hear a thing. Like, so it was incredible. It's a great environment for sure.
Yeah, and one thing that I really wondered was, so we talked a little bit about your high school career here at Butte, but what was the recruiting process like for you, Tommy, when you decided senior year's about over, you're probably getting some looks? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, I think it kind of hit me after my junior year got over because, like I said, it was always my dream to win a state championship here. And junior year, we went, I think, 5-6. We went 5-5 in the regular season, lost, to Billings West, who would go on to win state in the first round. We lost to in the first round. And it finally hit me. I was like, dang, I only have 1 year left. Like what's going to happen afterwards? Because at that point, I really hadn't talked to anybody for college. And that really never really went through my mind. Like I wasn't ever focused on, I got to perform well because I want to go to college, any of that stuff. But, certainly it was like, holy cow, like I don't want to be done, in 12 months from now. I don't want to be hanging it up and calling it quits. So like I said, a lot of people weren't really reaching out to me.
After your junior year, you didn't have any looks really?
Well, immediately after the season, I suppose is what I'm referring to.
Okay.
And so it was like, well, I got to figure something out really now. So I started writing emails to coaches. Certainly there was some Group of 5 and Power 5 schools that I was just, putting my name out there.
Yeah.
Trying to stand out by, writing an email to their coaches, introducing myself, trying to get my film in front of them. Certainly, the Big Sky schools, just, U of M and MSU. And then the NAIA schools just within Montana, because I really had no idea. I had no frame of reference as to where, I would have an opportunity to play at. And so I was just kind of spreading my name from the top to the bottom and trying to get some opportunity to play. And, obviously then as track went through, I had a good track season. And that was kind of when I had, I got to start talking to some coaches a little bit more. That's when.
What'd you run in track?
I was a long jumper.
Okay.
But then I, did all the sprints, the 1, 2, 4, the relays,
okay.
So 4x4 and 4x1. Yeah. So I was involved with all that stuff.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but keep going. So you're running
track.
track.
Yeah. So I was just, I think that the jump, for my development physically between my sophomore year and junior year was quite different.
Yeah.
Well, that was just kind of the jump for me. So I was able to get, better times, significantly better times my junior year. And then, I was, along with that, I was, starting to get a little bit more for looks. So by the end of, end of my junior year, going into that summer was kind of when I really, started getting recruited by a few schools. But it was just all throughout here in Montana.
Do you think that's important to be a dual sport athlete? Because we're not seeing it as much anymore. Like you're seeing more like, okay, I'm just a basketball player. I'm going to play basketball all the way through summer, and then so I'm ready by winter rolls around. What do you think about dual sport athletes?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a funny situation because we certainly are seeing it more now than I would say, probably when I was growing, when I was in high school, and then obviously even before that.
Yeah.
But I still don't think that coaches see it any differently. College coaches, I see stuff all the time, from Nick Saban or I remember getting a paper when I was in high school from a quote from Urban Meyer, and it's just all inspiring kids and showing them that. These top coaches in the nation, they still want to see, dual sport, tri-sport athletes.
Yeah.
Because I think, without a doubt, you do the same thing over and over and you develop, I don't know, obviously tendencies and you're developing yourself specifically for that one thing. And I just think kind of cross-training in a bunch of different areas, you you get better in that. I don't know, really overall, I'd say that, I can contribute a lot of my running abilities to, not only track, obviously getting faster, but basketball, because there's just that, obviously when you're running around on a football field, it's all very spontaneous and creative. And no matter what kind of drills you want to do, all of them have an end result that you would know in your mind is what you're going to do. So when you run up to the cone, you're going to cut this way, you're going to cut that way. You're going to go 90 degrees, you're going to go 45 degrees. And it's like, well, okay, not in a real game. That doesn't ever happen. Like, you have to train your brain to react, and make a movement. And I think that basketball, that's a great example, because on defense, obviously shuffling back and forth. And then on offense, everything's super, it's just a flow, depending on obviously what offense you're in. But I'd say basketball is so much more flow. And so I think that all those things really do train you for, football, and vice versa. Football probably for basketball, and both of those are for track. And baseball. Shoot, I wish I would have done baseball. To be honest with you, I wish I would have done a quad sport athlete. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's music to my ears. Okay, so when did you know Montana State was going to be the place?
I don't ever think there was a doubt. I started getting recruited by Montana State and U of M at the same time, and it always just, it was just always kind of obvious to me that I wanted to go to Montana State. It was funny because, like I said, we had lost to Bozeman, and so at that point I was like, holy cow, like, there are rivals throughout all of high school. Like, I don't want to go to Bozeman now. Like, I just felt sick to my stomach. I hated Bozeman High because they beat us in the state championship game, and like I said, that was my dream. So I just felt like I was crushed, and I was like, holy cow, I don't want to go to Bozeman and be supported by those fans. But obviously that changed quite quickly when I got over there, and got to meet all of my teammates, all the coaches. I mean, I knew all that stuff before, I suppose, but I really got to know my teammates, and then feel the love of Bozeman, and get to know how supportive they are. And at the end of the day, it was more I was making stuff up in my head, like there was some real beef between high school sports for Bozeman and BU. And it's obviously there's a good rivalry there, and I love the energy of games, but at the end of the day, just high school game against each other. So just guys competing, and kind of just leave it at that. But I knew I'd go to Montana State. It was always obvious for academic reasons. I came out of high school, and that was one of my main priorities when I was looking at colleges for football. Is certainly it's never guaranteed that you're going to be healthy for one, or that you're ever going to see the field when you decide to go play college ball. Because you don't know what the situation is going to be with coaching. You obviously have to be in a system that will benefit you. You have to stay healthy, which is a very, very hard thing from what I've seen now.
Yeah,
and what I've sports are. Unless you really do have you believe and you have all the tangibles that that you can go make a living playing this sport. Well, even at that, you don't know if you're going to stay healthy. So I don't know. I mean, I always knew that academics was the most important thing, and so that's why I want to go to Montana State. Just I knew I was going to find a major there that would just be the best for me, and then on top of that, obviously the coaching and the recruiting from the coaching was pretty special. Just kind of seeing that continuity between what I'd been coached from Coach Gray and into what they kind of modeled there at Montana State. And so I just thought that as an easy transition.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because when you come from Coach Gray and then you get to on the campus of Montana State, you're kind of by yourself. What was it like? Was the game a little bit faster? Were the coverages a little bit different? What was your first few weeks on the campus there like?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say that I was probably very fortunate, because that first fall camp is tough.
Yeah.
And when I got there, it was the COVID year. And so when we woke up for our first day of fall camp, everybody, no sleep the night before, just you don't know if like you're cut out to be where you are. You have no idea. And you wake up and we get an announcement that FCS football is canceled. So everybody, from me all the way up to the, fourth year seniors are going to be fourth year seniors, fifth year seniors. We're like, shoot, did we have practice today? So we, show up, we go practice. But it's not a full fall camp schedule. Like Coach Choate, he was, obviously the head coach at that time. He realized that we weren't going to play. So he's like, yeah, we're still going to practice, but we're not going to kill you guys like a normal fall camp. And so, but we were planning on going all the way through it, regardless, just because they didn't know what else to do. But we practiced for, I think 4, 5, 6 days. And then, we just shut it down because a lot, some of the older guys were like, I'm not going to get hurt. Like,
Yeah.
And we didn't even have a season. Like a lot of guys were crushed, so
Yeah.
they didn't have much inspiration to be out there. But yeah, I mean, I certainly, even through those few practices, it's unbelievably different than high school sports. I'd say probably the biggest thing is just the X's and O's and how much detail there is into that. Obviously at quarterback, you have to know everyone on offense and defense. And so high school, most teams, they just kind of line up in their defense, and they don't really roll to anything or they don't, show pressure on one side, bring a pressure on the other side. And offense, I never really knew much about protection. So having to learn how to change protections and learn the whole new system on offense. Because, outside, all the gap schemes that they had, outside, inside, zones, triple option stuff and jet reads, and then, all the different pass game with play action pass, pop passes, drop back, 7-man protections, all that stuff was so different for me. So it was I had to study my butt off, and to learn those things. So that was probably the biggest transition, is just the knowledge that was kind of required. I mean, high school coaches know there's a limited amount of time that they have to coach their kids what, the plays are. And so they keep it simple, and they let their, the kids really make the difference in the game. But, college, obviously the kids, the time is kind of optimized for football. Like, that's why you're there. So you have a lot of time to really dive into those things, and coaches, certainly have all their, it's a business, that's their livelihood. So they have everything, up and down to make sure that the team has got the best opportunity to be successful. And so they need all those schemes.
After you kind of learned all this, what was it like for Tommy to know that when you became the starter? What was that feeling like?
Well, I still was clueless at that point. Like, I guess knowledge-wise, like when it was just, obviously just going into the playoffs, and throughout the season, all I was a Wildcat quarterback. I sat in on all the quarterback meetings. I was there, but, there's so many things that, the older guys would talk about, and, they'd discuss, and I'd go right over my head because I didn't understand it, and they weren't going to take the time to explain something to me because I'd never go out there for that stuff. I'd be out there for the Wildcat stuff, which is just essentially reading one guy, and then shoot at other points of the season. I was wide receiver, and I was, just only on special teams at other points. And so, I was trying to learn all these other things with techniques and getting to know special teams was kind of big too. And so when they kind of put me back at quarterback, I had no idea what was going on, but they kept it, obviously, like I said, they know how to get the system to fit their, what their opportunities, what the players they have. And so, they fit it for me, obviously extremely well. And, obviously it puts a lot of stress on defenses that are trying to scout us because they have no idea what they're going to get. And then game in and game out throughout the, 4-game run, it wasn't the same thing, from the first game to the second game to the third game. And so again, it makes it harder for them to scout. And so, we got to catch them on a few things that, just by kind of building that up a little bit. That's another beautiful thing about college sports that I never really considered, is just the continuity throughout the entire season and how coaches see, play calls, because, obviously it's always about winning, but it's also about, setting things up. And that's kind of one of the most beautiful things I've seen about college sports is just, game 1 to game 5, like you're doing something in game 1 because, in game 6, that team is going to be scouting you out for something specific. And, you don't want to show them what you think you can do against game 6 opponent in game 1, because then they'll be prepared for it. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the most incredible things when I started to learn about that stuff. But
yeah, that's a good answer. I like that.
Yeah.
So now transitioning a little bit more, you guys make it to the FCS championship. Well, give me a point of view when you run out of that tunnel, what that was like and what it was like to be not only the starter, but you get like this nickname, Touchdown Tommy. You get to play, like I just said, for national championship. You're running out in Frisco, Texas. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I was young and every single game it was a blur. I really didn't know what was going on, to be honest with you. Like I was saying, X's and O's, but then even just seeing things, like I've talked to a lot of people that imitate this, but those first few games, like it was really like you blacked out. You could only see what was straight in front of you. You lost your peripheral vision, throughout the entire game. And it's just an insane amount of adrenaline because of how much you prepare, and you're not really prepared for that. And so
Were you pretty nervous?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The entire run. And I'd have to say, like, without a doubt, that was probably the hardest thing in my life. Obviously there's a lot of excitement surrounding me, but just the pressure and the expectations was that maybe I put on myself more than anything, was just unbelievable. And it was tough to be honest with you, go out there. It's hard to understand, but like a national championship game, you obviously think that that's like your the dream. But I was struggling to just get through the next day, because I just knew that, like, what I was doing was kind of, like I said, it was just all, I felt like it was almost by luck. Like I was just going out there and doing kind of what I could do. And it was like, it just happened to keep on working. But I knew I wasn't running an offense effectively or efficiently, or like what an offense should have looked like. Like I knew at some point, like it wasn't going to, that wasn't going to work. And, but, so I don't know, like obviously excitement, running out there. But there was just so much, like the anxiety was unbelievable at that point.
Yeah, no, I totally get that 100%. One award that you got that I think was pretty cool, and I was doing a little research on the way here about you, but was the Doris Robinson Award. And you were the first athlete to get that out of the Big Sky. What did that award mean to you?
Yeah, like I was referring to earlier, I went to Montana State because education was an extremely important part of my, decision process. And I think that this award kind of embodies what my choices were, and then my actions, how they've reflected, what I inspired to be, and just the consistency piece. I think that's what I have to say, is it kind of embodies those two things, and that's what I certainly believe in, is just consistency and effort, and certainly being recognized for a national award like that was pretty incredible. Each conference in the FCS, they all had nominees. Each team nominated somebody, and then all those teams in each conference, they chose one for each conference, and now they chose one from the entire nation with that perspective. And I think we have a lot of guys on our team that are deserving of an honor like that, just to be nominated within our team. So then to be chosen from within the team, and then within the conference, and within the entire nation was an unbelievable honor for sure.
Yeah, and I watched, I can't remember if it was on YouTube or what, but when you accepted the award, there was a guy there that was talking about, and he got pretty emotional about it because it was in front of your team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have had to kind of been, that set you back a little bit, like this is a big deal.
Yeah, well, that guy was Gary Reasons. He was a 3-time FCS All-American who went on to go play for the Giants, with Bill Belichick, back when he was the assistant over there. And he was a 2-time Super Bowl winner, and so it was incredible just to meet him. But then you could just see the passion that he had, and the honor it was for him to just go around, and that wasn't the only time he had visited a school to present an award, but that's what he does, is he's involved with all the FCS stuff, and that just means so much to him, because certainly he's an FCS guy that went on to go play in 2 Super Bowls and make significant plays throughout his career, and be coached by some of the best people in the basically in all of history, with Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. So
yeah, it looked like a great moment.
Yeah,
definitely like where you came from. But all right, we got 2 segments left. We'll be going at this for about 25 minutes. Time flies.
Yeah.
So this next segment, Tommy, is called 10 for 10. Okay, so these are 10 straight answers. There's not really a correct answer, but you just have to answer them quickly as possible.
Okay.
Okay, Tommy, ready for 10 for 10?
Yep.
And away we go. Cat or dog?
Dog.
Hot dog or hamburger?
Hamburger.
Palm trees or evergreen trees?
Evergreen trees.
Lake or ocean?
Lake.
Favorite actor?
Oh, geez. I don't... Skip. I'm awful with names with actors.
That's all right. Favorite band or rapper?
Say Morgan Wallen.
Oh, good pick. Okay. What city in Texas has an NBA mascot nicknamed the Mavericks?
What did you say?
What city in Texas has an NBA mascot nicknamed the Mavericks?
Oh, Dallas.
What city in Texas has an NFL team nicknamed the Cowboys?
Dallas Cowboys, yeah.
What city in Texas spelled backwards reads salad?
Dallas.
Who is your favorite new podcaster / new buddy?
Dallas.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. I like that.
Thanks, buddy. Swim Lessons is about overcoming the tough times and kind of what we're tailoring this podcast after. I think, you are an excellent example of that. What's something that Tommy, you say to yourself kind of when your back's against the wall, when you're kind of going up against a tough time?
Yeah, I've always been a huge advocate for mental health, and I was just thinking about this on the way over here. Is I feel like that can be construed to think that you always just kind of choose the easiest, path of least resistance. But I think mental health and pushing through things, no matter what it might be, is there's a beauty in that purpose of that you have something that's hard in your life. Like if everything was constantly easy, like that'd be a pretty boring life, I'd have to imagine. And if everything was, but with difficult times. It gives you a purpose and something to pursue through, and it obviously gives you a lot of joy if you can endure and persevere through it. And so I've obviously always talked about being a mental health advocate, and I think that that's actually a very important part of it, is just teaching yourself and giving yourself that self-efficacy that you can endure and persevere through hard times. And so that's something that I've always talked to myself about. Going through struggles and whatnot, and just always trusting that you do have that potential and you have that ability to get through it, whatever that hardship might be.
Yeah, and that's an excellent way to put it. I mean, when they talk about a tough loss or a big win, it's kind of still that week of practice. There's going to be obstacles to overcome. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, regardless if it's a win or a loss, you got to go look at it from an objective perspective on the film, and nothing ever looks that great. It's obviously a little bit easier to deal with it if you knew that the outcome was a win, but
yeah.
Football's an imperfect game, and there's that constant, that's what coaches are there for, to motivate you and to try to help you improve. And so, there's no way that, Monday mornings are ever easy, win or lose.
Yeah.
And throughout the entire week, it's just, you just work your butt off and you persevere to get to that Saturday and try to help those guys around you.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I know you got a place to go here. I don't want to hold you up too long, but really appreciate you. I'm a big fan now. After talking to you and Taco, I'm a cat guy now. So
let's go.
I appreciate you. And can people follow you on Instagram, or what's like the best place to follow kind of your story here in the upcoming years?
Yeah, Instagram would be good. I'm kind of off Twitter at this point, but yeah, I got an Instagram, so that's kind of where I'm involved with social media.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you want to pull that up, we can do a quick plug. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll just get the header really quick.
Okay.
Make sure that's out there.
Yeah.
Just good. Tommy_2. So
Tommy_2.
Yep.
So future wise, you're coming up on your junior.
My last season. Yeah.
This is
the beginning of going to be my 5th year there and my 4th season. So
are you kind of excited, sad, a little bit of both?
It's the end of my 4th year, and I'm excited for that opportunity to just continue to play. I think that without a doubt, there's nothing I'm going to regret from all the effort that I put in for the last 4 years, and there's nothing I'm going to regret for this upcoming year for sure.
Well, I appreciate it, man, and that's a wrap. Tommy, thanks, buddy.